Jaya Prabhuji. Hello. Welcome to the Retroprogressive Institute. In this institute, the disciples of Prabhuji share their understandings about the writings and teachings of Prabhuji. In this course, I am going deep into the book Advaita Vedanta, Being the Self. Advaita Vedanta by itself is a fascinating path in which Prabhuji walked and explored and fall in love really with this path. And in his book, he gives an overview of all the principles and the pearls of wisdom really from this heritage of the Vedic revelation. This is the third class. In the previous class, we answered the question, what is Vedanta? And in this one, we're going to put Vedanta in its context. Let's read the first paragraph of chapter 1. The schools of Indian philosophy. Hindu philosophy comprises orthodox schools, astika, which are based on the Vedas, and heterodox schools, nastika, which do not accept Vedic spiritual authority. Sanatana Dharma, or Hinduism, as it is called today, is a collective term for 6 orthodox schools, also called Sat Darshanas or Sat Shastras. What is Vedanta? Vedanta is one of the 6 orthodox schools among the 6 darshanas. Vedanta is a darshana, and Advaita Vedanta is one of the sub-schools among the Vedanta Darshana. Now, it is important to put Vedanta in context, and that's why Prabhuji starts his book by mentioning that this pearl of wisdom contained mainly in the Upanishads and of course later on developed by the rishis that follow the wisdom of the Upanishad, starting from the founder of this darshana, Badarayana or Vyasa itself. There are 2 ways to look at the founder. So the development of the Vedanta Sutras, which is a summary of the wisdom contained in the Upanishad, and later on the commentaries done by different rishis on this book and their own treatises. This richness of revelation is what comprises the Vedanta canon. Now, why is it so important to put it in context? Because Vedanta didn't start in a vacuum. There was an awakening of many different rishis which describe reality in different ways. Now, there are 6 among them who created schools of search. I don't want to call them schools of philosophy, because although Prabhuji uses the word philosophy even when describing what is a darshana, basically it said they are not philosophies, they are points of view, they are ways to describe the truth. So these 6 darshanas are 6 visions, 6 points of view, and 6 orthodox points of view. What makes the darshana an orthodox darshana? The fact that they accept and recognize the spiritual authority of the Vedic revelation. That is what makes a darshana to be part of the Vedic system. Now, there were many other schools of thoughts that they didn't accept the authority of the Vedas, meaning they said, now it's time for a new beginning, for a new revelation. And therefore, they become, although they were born in India, they become different religions. So this is the case of Buddhism, that easily could have been a darshana, because the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion, has this attitude of giving authority to the seer. And this is the beauty. This is the magic of Sanatana Dharma. Why? because most of the religions of the world have a founder, meaning a prophet, a saint, an incarnation that started the religion, being the utmost authority of this path. Everyone later on cannot in any way surpass the authority of its founder. Usually the system becomes subject to the tenets given by the founder. In Sanatana Dharma there is no founder. There is no beginning to this religion. Therefore, Sanatana means eternal, because it's just the wisdom of truth channeled by different rishis in different times. But it's not a beginning, it's not an invention, it's not a revelation given to one, it's a truth, eternal, available to everyone. So the vision of this path is not that there is one perfective human beings and then followers or aspirants to that, to become that founder. The vision is that everyone is a rishi. Some are awakened and some not yet. And in the moment of awakening, that direct experience is the ultimate authority. And how this will be expressed in your own way. It is the religion of individuality, sometimes Prabhuji likes to call it. Because, look at this, there is no even one doctrine. When we will learn the different darshanas, you will say, how can they coexist in the same religion? Must be something behind, a message behind this, because one will say the world is real, one will say the world is an imagination, one will say the world is not real, neither real not unreal, it's a projection. So give me one version and I will believe, but how I can, what is the message behind giving me contradicted definitions of truth? So one thing for sure, it's difficult to become fanatic while following the Sanatana Dharma and said this is the only truth, because the religion itself accepts many ways to describe it. But whoever rishi that said, I will continue with this revelation a step forward, this is what they do, and this is how till today, although this religion is so ancient, we have a very alive and vivid religion, because every spiritual aspirant that awakes to his own direct experience creates a new path, creates a new sub-school, a new way to describe that, maybe because he is more contemporary, can awake more souls easily, because sometimes the religion become archaic, and this is what happened to the Vedic rituals. It's amazing. Like the beginning of the religion were Vedic sacrifices, a whole system, detailed system, meticulous system of Vedic rituals with astonishing hymns and very detailed system. And this system become archaic, it become obsolete. And the rishis themselves said, humanity go on, and this Vedic system ritual is not doable, it's not relevant, we need a new way. And this is how the Aranyakas, the new scriptures describing other types of rituals were born. So I want to start by explaining what means the Vedic revelation. When Prabhuji says there were 6 that were agreeing with the Vedic revelation and 6 that they didn't agree. The ones that they agree were included. The ones that disagree or I don't know if disagree is the correct way to say it. They didn't recognize the divine origin of this revelation. They become different religions. So let's start by understanding what is the Vedic revelation. The Vedic revelation is very ancient. It is hard to determine its beginnings because it was an oral tradition for generations. And some say it was founded 5,000 years ago, some 7, some much more. But it is related as an eternal religion, meaning at some point was put in written the hymns of the rishis of the forests, that they were in tune, in sync, in connection with the beyond, and express their admiration, their awe, their devotion through hymns. Those hymns, we call them the mantra samhitas, which at certain point were put in written, luckily, so we have them till today. Now, originally it was one Veda, but with time, in order to ease the study of these hymns, it was divided in 4: the Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva Veda. Later on, there were the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are basically a canon of books still within what is considered the Vedas, which focus on explaining how to perform the rituals, the Vedic ritual system. So the mantras are the hymns and the Brahmanas are the teachings of the rituals. Together, the mantra, samhitas, and the Brahmanas are the karma kanda section of the Vedas. Karma is action, kanda is section, and this is the part of the rituals and sacrifices according to the Vedic system. Later on, we have the revelation of the Aranyakas. The Aranyakas literally means the books of the forest, meaning that they were for the renouncants, for the ones that go away from society to search for divinity. And in these books, we have more the esoteric aspects of the rituals. In a way, there was a development of the ritual system in the Aranyakas, bringing the worship more to the performance of the people themselves, even to their houses. We have here the explanation of how to perform rituals at home, and even an internalization of the rituals, something more introspective. It's a more system that includes a meditative and inward search. So the Aranyakas is considered the Upasana Kanda, in which we see the worship, we see the development of devotion and ceremonies. Lastly, the last part of the Vedic canon are the Upanishads, and therefore they're called Vedanta because it's the Vedanta, it's the end of the Vedas. The Upanishads contain the part called Jnana Kanda. Jnana is knowledge, and in them we can find treatises on the topics of the wisdom and meditation. Prabhuji doesn't write a lot about the Darshanas in this book. He mentioned them, he put the Vedanta in context, and then he goes on to explain the Advaita Vedanta. So he does explain this in other books, and he also teaches a lot about the topic in his lectures. So what I want to do in this class is to share with you some of the teachings of Prabhuji that I heard in one of the lectures on this topic. I wrote the teachings and I paraphrase in my own words. So there's not the words of Prabhuji, but yes, the ideas that he was conveying in this lecture, and I think they're very precious and beneficial So let's read. Descriptions, not philosophies. Darshana refers to a perspective, vision, or point of view. They are not inventions or new paths, but rather different descriptions of the truth. However, scholars often treat these descriptions as philosophical systems with methods and techniques. Description versus philosophy. So, what is the difference really? In fact, when you want to study about the Darshanas, most of the books describe them from an academic perspective, meaning there were very different thinkers. As there were in Greece many thinkers, and there were in Japan thinkers, there were also in the ancient India thinkers that hypothesized about what we are, what is the truth, what is the word, who is God, and they gave different options. They got to different conclusions, and this is how we have different philosophical systems. Prabhuji said, I didn't study the Darshanas from the books. I heard this from my guru, Swami Vishnudevananda. And when he described them, he described that the rishis were enlightened beings and they saw the truth from different angles. And this is the spirit that Prabhuji is putting into these darshanas. Yes, there are different descriptions. Some look almost scientific in nature, but they are descriptions, meaning it's not a conclusion arrived after a series of logical arguments or hypotheses, but when you come to describe something, you will necessarily be describing it from your point of view, from where you see the things that you are describing. So when these rishis watched the truth, they saw it from different perspectives and they chose to emphasize different aspects. Many times some seekers can feel more in tune or more attractive. Prabhuji sometimes says that the Sanatana Dharma has many doors to go into. They invite you through different doors. You might find certain doors more attractive or fit to your size. Some doors might be too small for you. Some doors might be scary for you, too big. So you need to find your crack where you can do your first steps towards self-realization. And when we study in the following talks the different description, we will see the beauty of the diversity and even the debates between them. The debates where one criticize the other and enrich each other in a very dialectical interactions, full of beauty. But the point is that they are describing the difficulty of describing something is that when the person cannot see how you could convey what you are seeing. Prabhuji says you have the rainbow. They're trying to describe the beauty, the awesomeness of the rainbow to blind people. So how do you start? What are colors? What is an arch? What is a sky? How do you describe the rainbow to the blind? But moreover, what they are seeing this not with these eyes. They are seeing this with the eyes of the self. And what they see cannot be described. And here we start difficulty. Here we start dividing. And this is how we start getting different religions. Because what everybody sees, and this is the inclusive attitude of Prabhuji, everybody sees the same. They cannot see any. If somebody sees something else, meaning that they are not seeing the truth, because the truth is one, but seen and expressed as the individual can with their tools. So, we said maybe it's subject to the time and circumstances, who is hearing, what is relevant to the seekers that he's sharing the truth with. So the books will say those are different philosophies, and they will give techniques to achieve what the rishi sees. That's basically to make something which is the beauty, the expression of the truth, and try to make a technique to achieve what the master is teaching. So Prabhuji explains that the rishis don't try to give a technique. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to tempt you, invite you to open your own eyes and you to become a rishi. Not to become a follower of a rishi and make a technique out of his system, but to open the eyes. Because with the example of the rainbow, he said it's not that in fact the master is preaching to the blind. The master is preaching to the people that don't agree to open the eyes. Open the eyes. And they can see if they want. But for some reason, and I still ask myself, what is the reason of closing the eyes so strong and contract ourselves so strong, to which we disconnect from the whole? They invite to relax the contraction of the ego and become part of the whole. Not become aware that you are already part of the whole. Back to the example of the rainbow, Prabhuji says it's not basically that the rishi can see and describe it to the blind, but he describes it to the people that can see but are closing their eyes. So the teachings should not be taken theoretical, but should be an invitation to relax and open your own eyes, to become the own witness of the truth, not a listener of the witness, of what other witness, because what they're describing, in fact, is indescribable. And here comes the problem, that in the moment that you put it in words, you minimize it. Necessarily, you conceptualize it. So it can be a hint, it can be an invitation to dare to see, but you cannot stop there. You cannot take this as a philosophy. You cannot create a method around it, because what they describe is just to tell you there is something there that you should look for too, and dare to open your eyes. The 6 orthodox darshanas of Indian philosophy. There is no darshana without rishi, and we will meet the 6 amazing rishis. Nyaya was founded by Gautama, Vaisheshika by the sage Kanad, Samkhya by Kapila, Yoga by Patanjali, Purva Mimamsa by Jaimini, and Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta by the sage Badarayana or Vyasa. Heterodox schools in India, there were many. Prabhuji mentioned these main 4, which are the Charvaka, founded by Charvaka, or known also as Lokayata; Buddhism, founded by Siddhartha Gautama; Jainism by Mahavira; and Ajivika by Makhali Gosala. Another point that Prabhuji shared in that talk was about these 6 types of descriptions. In my words, when enlightened individuals realize their true nature, they know that no words can define it, and they come to see that logic has no relation to the truth. For this reason, many enlightened masters choose silence. 6 masters choose to share their perspectives, and thus we have different descriptions. One may observe a mountain from afar, while another stands close by, and yet another may be an artist capturing the scene. No words can define it, and yet we have so many scriptures. So Prabhuji is trying to give us, as a lover of scriptures that he is, from childhood he start like reading the Bible over and over, reading the Vedas, the Upanishads. Yes, Prabhuji started his search very, very young. He had a mystical experience at 8 years old. He had a direct experience. He has become rishi without knowing any theory, any word, any descriptions. But he says that I was so scared because I didn't know what is happening. I completely disappear in front of this overwhelming light that I contracted, and then it was gone. And for 30 years he was searching for the experience to come back, because he knew that it was the truth. It's so clear when it's the truth. It's not, even for a child, it's so clear. And he was never confused if it was an imagination. Although when he described it, people were trying to say maybe it was an airplane that passed, and you know, it's no, maybe you were dreaming. No, I was not. He was so convinced. So much so that he disconnected from the adults at certain moment, continue his path by its own terms, because he knew that what he is looking for, they have no idea what he's talking about. So this caused him also to disrespect the formal educational system that teach so many things without teaching what is the most relevant, which is the truth, the reality. What can be more important than that? Everything else is secondary. So what we understood is that, you know, the scriptures are testimonies from people that they know what he was talking about. So he read them from a very young age. And yet, he says here, no words can define it. So even the most holy words, more loyal words of witnesses of the truth cannot define. Even my own words cannot define. So he says there are certain rishis that choose to keep silent because of this. And silence, he said, is their darshana. He gave the example of Ramana Maharishi. When he was inquired about the truth, his answer was, keep silent. Silence. This is the answer. I cannot give you words. You need to hear, you need to see, you need to calm your mind, because it's there. And the noise and the mental constructs, they don't allow you to see. I cannot teach you to see, because you already see. But you need to open your eyes. And this is to relax the contraction of the ego. So no words can define it. And silent is maybe the best definition. Yet, there are 6 rishis that they chose to share it and to speak about. What is the purpose of speaking about it? So, logic is not truth. Logic is not truth. Now, if we talk about logic is not true, so what? Something illogical will be more truthful than something logical? For our mind, for our reasoning, what is logic is truth. The logic, I would dare to say that they are the rules of the mind. So logic is basically a branch of philosophy that studies how to arrive to right conclusions following valid procedures and arguments. Like the classic example, if we have a premise that says humans are mortal, it's a general premise. Socrates is human. It's a particular premise. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. That will be a valid and logic argument. But Prabhuji, instead of giving us these theoretical examples, he brings us to your life. Do you live your life logically? Okay, so always, Prabhuji is not a theory teacher. Always practical, meaning what is relevant to you, because we're speaking about self-exploration, about awakening. We are not speaking here about the academical knowledge, but about search for your true self. So you are the most relevant object of study. So do you live your life logically? I would say, yeah, quite logically. So think about it. The way you look at life. And then in this lecture, everybody necessarily turn the camera, I say, and you look at yourself. Think about your reactions. Do all your reactions are logic? Or are you creating logical arguments to justify your illogical behaviors? So let's put an example. If I shout at a person and I feel ashamed about it, the mind is more interested in make me feel at peace and make me feel a logical and coherent person than seeing the truth. So easily I can raise an argument that will will make my behavior logical. Yes, I shout because this is the only way he understands. There is no other way. What that makes my reaction logical. Okay, if the person is misbehaving, again, my judgment, but according to my judgment. And second, the only way he understands that he's misbehaving is when somebody shouts. Therefore, I'm shouting is a logical way. So I want my life to be logical. We don't feel at peace when we live an incoherent life. Now, is really shouting the only way? Is this truth or false? I will put my lies in a logical sequence that will justify my behaviors. So if you look at your life sincerely, it's hard to face how irrational you are in your behavior, how you cannot find reasons why you do so many things you do, and you first do them and then find a reason for it. So logic is not truth. And his invitation is live your life truthfully, bravely. If you need to admit, yes, I shout because I lost my temper and I'm not proud about it and I'm sorry about it. And even though he misbehaved, I will apologize. That is to be closer to the truth. That is the bravery to confront the truth, to look at the truth in the eyes. So the guidance of Prabhuji, really, when he guides his disciples, is more living truth. And if you need to admit that you're in a rational being driven by your instinct, you're closer to the truth. You might be less proud, but you know what is ego? It's a ball of pride make of air, because you can explode it with a small argument. So the master is one who tries to invite you or encourage you, and somebody to even put the truth in front of you so you cannot avoid it, and said, yes, logic is not truth. Seeing without projecting. When we observe the world, we often project our mental constructs onto what we see. When looking at a tree, we recall the trees we have seen before and compare them based on our past experiences. This mental activity prevents us from truly seeing. We lack darshana of things. The rishis describe what they see without the interference of past experiences, without comparing or projecting. Wow. When we see, we project. Lately, Prabhuji has a guidance that he says, go back to the 5 first minutes of your life. How do you experience life when you were 5 minutes old? Did you have awareness? Yes, of course. Did you see? Did you hear? Yes, I did. Who was your mother? Who was your father? Who were you? What was your body? So by bringing us back to that moment, it's in a way a regression to go back in time, because from that first 5 minutes till today, we are being taught words and concepts, and therefore creating our mental constructs. So what Prabhuji says here is that the mental constructs disconnect you from the world, and you don't have darshana of things, let alone the suprasensorial, let alone the mystical and energetically. The things of the world, do you see them? Or do you have this mental construct that not only divide between you, so disconnect you so much that you are projecting onto the world, not even receptive of what you see. Take a child, how he experiences the world. There is so much novelty in what he experienced that the excitement and the discovery, the intensity of a child is into a world with less mental constructs. That's how we see the excitement from being alive go, and instead of increasing as you know more how to live, it go and decline, like the magic and the awe, the wonder goes and disappear. Why? Prabhuji says, because you are going and accumulating mental constructs. So then you live a secure life within the walls of your mind, and you don't see the world anymore. So why would we do that? Why would you do that? Aristotle described the truth in terms of the correspondence theory, which says that a statement or thought is truth if it corresponds to reality, to what is really described. So if I say that snow is white and the snow is in fact white, my statement is truth. Now, this is taking 2 assumptions in account. One, that the world is real and existing. and that I, with my senses and reasoning and really language, because know is a word, okay, I have the ability to describe the world as it really is. So based on this assumption, which is the Western materialistic view of life, I was raised. From that 5 minutes old age till today, I'm being taught mental constructs, words, ideas, concepts. So what Prabhuji says is that we go and lose our ability to see, and we go and project our mental constructs. Prabhuji had a seminar that he gave about relationships, and this is truly recommended, because since I heard this, something deeply changed in my way of relate to other people because of this mental construct. What he explains is that we create an image of a person, and then we interact with the image and not with the person itself. Again, a mental construct instead of reality. So the person can be totally unrelated to our mental image. That's the thing, that there is not always correspondence, and that's what Aristotle didn't explain. That sometimes if an image of a reality is more comfortable to my well-being, I will give up reality and stick to the image. So the person can be totally different from what I constructed, and the person can change over time without me noticing, because what I'm watching is the image and not the reality. I don't have a darshana of reality. Now, to deconstruct this deep conviction of the correspondence theory of Aristotle is the spiritual search. And it takes a master years to guide a disciple to start doubting, because Prabhuji doesn't teach a faith. Doubt this conviction that you see reality, because maybe the word is not there, and maybe your mind cannot grasp what is there. Prabhuji has the lecture that he says, in the past they thought I'm crazy, like how the word is not there. Now you need to, like he said, even in high school physics you already can learn these things, like science catch up with the rishis. It's after all, meaning that no, we cannot see reality with the senses. No, it's not what we see, and moreover, we don't even know what is there that we are grasping. That's why in meditation, Prabhuji is bringing us to this: have a darshana of what you experience. Leave alone transcendental, mystical experiences. You don't need mystical experience to see truth. Actually, it doesn't appreciate like mystical experiences. He said, well, there are many experiences, also mystical, so what? Like, you have all kind of experiences is something temporal. I'm not talking about experiences. It doesn't, try to bring us to supramental experiences. It's very practical in that way. You have everyday experiences of your mental level, whatever you are there. If you see what you see, you will have you will grasp the truth, you will see the truth, but you don't see, you project upon reality. So how he says about looking, if you take all what you experience and you take out the mental constructs, if you could, okay, that's for me the spiritual path, to take out the mental constructs. So hard. But if you could, Prabhuji said, you will boil down all what you experience, that there are variety and colors and situations and people and diversity, basically, you will boil down to 4 categories: thoughts, feelings, perceptions, and sensations. Okay? I leave you the homework to do it. Prabhuji has a guidance meditation that is so helpful in the YouTube channel. So he said, what you experience are sensations, means things that you feel in your body. Perceptions is things that your senses grasp in the form of, a stimuli from the world. And then you have your thoughts that are more internal, but they're movement, and your feelings that are also a type of thoughts, Prabhuji said, but they are more emotional type of thoughts. So everything, what these four categories are made of, consciousness. This is the raw material of all what you experience. So the word is not material, the word is consciousness. So this is the path of the darshana. Look at the word, look sincerely at the word, take out your mental constructs, and what you will see is reality. And what is reality? Seeing the truth without possessing it. Their followers, however, often attempt to develop methods and techniques to attain what the rishi has seen. But the rishi, like the pre-Socratics, relates to truth with reverence, celebration, and devotion. The followers, in contrast, try to capture it, to possess it. Now is bringing our attention to a new point. Our attitude towards the truth. We want to possess it. And this is, now it brings the Platonic attitude. Before was the Aristotle attitude, now it's the Platonic attitude. Before Plato, there were the pre-Socratics. They had certain attitude towards the truth. That actually the self is revealed to you. You cannot achieve it. It's a gift given. Even the Upanishad says the self reveals itself to whom the self chooses. So the truth is something to venerate, to adore, not to possess it. You cannot conceptualize it, you cannot grasp it. So he brings us to the attitudes of the pre-Socratic. I want to read to you a small paragraph from the book Phenomenology of the Sacred. This book, he's writing a lot about philosophy, Western philosophy, so here there is something that can help us to understand what he means. Returning to the pre-Platonic origins, in which the pre-Socratic ontological sages, in contrast to Plato's philosophy, did not engage in a rigorous analysis of how the world might be known, but rather immersed themselves directly into the experience of its unifying foundation. Heraclitus and Parmenides, far from dwelling on the theoretical speculation of the possibilities inherent in being, focused on the direct and profound understanding of its nature. The Phenomenology of the Sacred by Prabhuji. So even if we don't know anything about Western philosophy, we are embedded in that view of the world. That will happen to me when Prabhuji started teaching this philosophy. I said, how this can be relevant to me? It's 1,000 years old knowledge. There were so many more recent rishis that explain the truth, and even philosophers that develop. To study Western philosophy from Prabhuji is to understand how the views of these very ancient philosophers influence the way that we see the world. I am deeply influenced by the correspondence theory of Aristotle, and I am deeply influenced by the attitude of Plato towards the truth. And Prabhuji does this comparison between the ontological sages, as he called them before Socrates, that they had certain attitudes toward the self. Which was that attitude? That the self is revealed to you, that the self cannot be conquered or possessed. How? Only if he chooses to unfold the truth, to unblind you, you will see. And what you can do about it, nothing, just to feel this awe, this reverence, this celebration when it happened. But you cannot create a method. It's useless. It's even not the right attitude. But with Plato, we start a feeling that I am able, because I'm capable, because I have reason, of leave alone all this mythology, venerations of the beyond. I can know it because I can analyze it. And then we create not only a new beginning, but a new attitude towards the truth. And Prabhuji is very critical about this attitude, that this is the way to close ourselves to the truth, with this arrogance and this overtrust on the mind and on the reasoning that it will describe the truth. I will dare to say that all the spiritual path is just to deconstruct these convictions and relax. Prabhuji has this analogy that he said, if you want to know how to become a lawyer, okay, so you can go to the university, you can study from other lawyers, but what should you do if you want to become a not lawyer? You don't want to become a lawyer. What should you do? So if you go and ask, is there a school where I can learn how not to be a lawyer? No, if you're not a lawyer, you don't need to do anything. Okay, that's meditation, Prabhuji says. It's not to do. It's not. So how I can become enlightened? Prabhuji does it. You just don't need to do anything. You are already enlightened. You just need to stop doing what you do. And what you do, you conceptualize, you possess, you want to conquer the truth. All these attitudes, you cannot teach you how to become enlightened. You just need to learn in a way how to stop doing. So it's something that I cannot teach you. But Prabhuji can point to it, at least bring the awareness to this. In this context, I want to give this example of the two brothers. There were a brother, 16 years old, and he had the smallest of his brothers was 6. And they have a very loving relationship, and he used to play with him and share his games. But at a certain point, the big brother started disengaging from the kid, and he felt it, and he was like missing him. And then he approached and he said, lately I notice you like you are, I don't know, you're like dreaming, like you're like, I don't know, I see you like staring at the moon. What happened to you? You're not so interested in playing with me anymore. And the brother, took him on his lap and he said, yes, my sweet brother, I fall in love. He said, what is that? Oh, I don't know how to explain, but I see you so happy and so like dreaming and excited. Please describe me. What is to fall in love? It's like when you feel, you know what I mean? When you feel this kind of like butterflies. Do you get me? No, I don't. Like, can you choose other words? Like when you have like this feeling of when you see someone and you. No, I don't get it. Can you try? He said, no, I don't know how to describe it. I said, but okay, so can you tell me how I can do the same? I want to fall in love too. No, I cannot teach you how to fall in love. I don't know how I did it. It just happened to me. I said, yeah, but I want this, that will happen to me too. So what were the steps? Can you tell me, like, first and second and something, so I can fall in love? And he said, listen, no, I cannot tell you. And when it will happen to you, it will happen to you. And it will eventually happen to you. You need just to wait. You will grow up, you will find your love, you will recognize it, and then you will understand me. So in the example of the search for the truth, is a bit similar to it. Because if you take this small kid and he heard his brother on the phone and said, I love you. And he said, yeah, that's the way. And he goes to his friend at the kindergarten and he said, I have something to tell you. I love you. Will that be falling in love? Or everything else is an expression of the love that cannot be forced. And every effort to make you fall in love will ruin the love. And this is what Prabhuji is trying to say with the Platonic attitude. Every method that you will do for truth is ruining the truth. Every philosophy that you make around the truth is covering the truth. The best is to have the right attitude, to be open to it. And I think that's all what the rishis can say truly. Be open to it, which eventually it will visit you. It will visit everyone eventually. This, faith, yeah, it will knock my door. My love will knock my door. The divine God will knock my door. And if I'm waiting with open arms, so it will come in to my house. Prepare the house, clean the house. That's the guidance. Like Prabhuji doesn't give really sādhanā. But whatever you can do to clean your house, so it will, the divine will have a welcoming place to come, and it will want to stay in your house. So clean your house, clean your heart, clean your mind, clean your attitude, clean your egoism, clean your pride, clean your bitterness, clean, because when it will knock, it will knock. If we take the example of the brother, and the little brother insisted and said, give me something, give me a hint, give me a direction. He said, you know what, this is what I will give you. When and if you will fall in love, you will first start feeling this excitement. So stay open, let it grow, let it develop, let it conquer. Don't resist, don't contract. It will overcome you, but it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. You will feel it, that it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You will be completely obsessed by your beloved, and you will do everything in the world to conquer her. And it might seem painful at times, but it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. Go for it. So that's, I feel, is the guidance of the rishis, that Prabhuji warns us, don't take these descriptions and make a method that is to disconnect, but stay open. Stay open, knowing that there is a possibility of falling in God. And when you feel the first calling, to be very attentive, right? Because when there is noise in the mind, the calling is not earth. You cannot hear it. But if you hear the first calling, the first butterflies, It might seem painful at times, but go for it because it's worth it. The Rishi teaches you to see. The true master uses darshana to teach you how to see, not to show you what he sees. As the Chinese proverbs advises, do not give a man a fish, teach him to fish. Scholars and academics seek methods and techniques, but the seeker should not aim to reach what the master sees, but rather to understand the process of seeing itself. The Rishi teaches you to see. And how? By understanding the process of seeing. So, in Prabhuji's teachings, you need to be more busy on understanding yourself, your house, your life, your reactions, your cognitive process, than to learning more about God. Because all that will be theory in the beginning. It will not only not help you, but also maybe even create a barrier between you and God, because then you put another concept. Prabhuji said that the idolatry is to take an idea of God and worship it. Instead of having your own experience, you were taught an idea. You were convinced in your tender age when you cannot question, and now you don't question anymore. All the encouragement of Prabhuji is question your answers. Prabhuji has a book like this, questions your answers. Like, take your answers and deconstruct them and say, are your answers, or you got them after you were 5 minutes old? And take your answers. So Prabhuji says, like, teach him to fish. He gave another example in that darshan. He said, you want to become an artist, a painter. You have like this call from, you want to create. Then you go to a true artist and you see him painting. Now, you have two options. You either focus on the paint, on his creation, and admire his talent and describe his creation, or you focus on the painter, on the process of painting, on the process of seeing. If you want to become an artist, leave the creation. You will have your own. You not need to be so focused on his painting. Be focused on how the inspiration takes over and how he relaxes his mind and flows with the colors. Like, look at him. What happened to him? What is his experience? And do not imitate him, because it will be a disaster. But learn how this happened in him and how this kept happening in you. And he, if he wants you to admire his painting, he will bring art critics, or he will bring art gallery owners and tell him, look what I did, and it's so beautiful. Buy it, put it in your gallery, like give an estimate of the price. But the Rishi is not looking for that. He's looking for inspire the artist in you. So how often, when approaching a religion, we are more busy in the painting than in the process of painting. So, in a way, if we are sincere, and the spiritual path requires sincerity, that's maybe the difficult part, is how much easier is for me to live by concepts than to look reality. In a way, it seems like it's exhausting to process all the time reality again. The mind, in a way, it saves like resources by conceptualizing everything, putting this in categories, and then in a way I can live. It's like living from my room. Instead of going outside, I can put a camera and just watch at my screen. So in the safety of my mind I don't need to confront the world. In the safety of my room, I don't need to go out and out. Everything can happen and everything needs to be reprocessed. So the concepts are covering reality and are giving us safety. Prabhuji has a lecture that he gave that he called the lecture Lost in the Concepts, Blind to the Truth. I want to share with you this small part.
We create such a magnitude of concepts. We conceptualize reality until the point that instead of describe things through concepts, we cover the thing with the concepts. It's a conceptualization that cover instead of describe. The concepts don't say anymore something about the things, but we look how to adapt the thing with the concepts. We go in life and we don't conceptualize people. We try to introduce them in the box of our previous made concepts. No. You want to know God through concepts. But not God, nothing can be known through concepts.
Are you looking for God? God is a concept for you. That's the hard reality that Prabhuji is pushing. It's a word. It's an idea. If you're looking for God, one thing for sure, that God that you're looking for is not God. Because God cannot be conceptualized. God cannot be known through concepts. So one of, I think, the difficult steps on the path is, Prabhuji has this lecture, if you see the Buddha, kill him, is you need to kill that search that you are looking, and be in peace with the fact that you cannot know God, never. You cannot make God know you. You cannot make enlightenment happen. It's frustrating. It's useless. If you come to the path, the retroprogressive path to achieve something, you will lose everything. It's a bad deal. Because it's a path without aims, without goals, therefore without a feeling of fulfillment. Even without a feeling of advancement. You know, I think this word, this definition, retroprogressive path, is very describing. Because you are aiming to progress on the path, right? And Prabhuji said it's a retroprogressive. Means you're going forward but going backward. What that means? You are going and coming back to the 5 minutes old. Losing the things. Like you need, in order to advance in this path, you need to give up things. You need to go back to some state which was more innocent. You need to regain your innocence, your humbleness. When you play with kids without the aim of winning them. I remember in my life, when I was 8 years old, I went to a summer camp. And I feel this was the beginning of my egoic career towards success. We were 2 weeks in the mountains. We had the time of the life with rivers and mountain and climbing, and they let us like dirt ourselves in the mud. It was fun. It was finally the parents are not there. We were like being taken care of by teenagers that we love them and they love us, and it was a party. But at the end of this summer camp, there was like a big formation, of all the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and then there was the flag, and then there was an announcement. We have chosen the Girl Scout of the year. Okay, I didn't know there was such a thing, the Girl Scout of the year. The best Boy Scout and the best Girl Scout, the more brave and creative and lovely. And who? Me. And I didn't even know that was such a thing. So I went back and they gave me a compass and with my name, and everybody applauded, and I came home and everybody applauded. And next year I went to the same summer camp. I was not the same. I was ruined, like poisoned by that prize. I didn't think before that I need to play and be better than others who were doing sports and competition. It was fun. Now I wanted to be better than others, and I wanted to win others. And I didn't. I never win this medal again. So that innocence, I lost it, but I lost it till today. That's the tragedy. That I need to go back, I need to regain, I need to do the retroprogressive path, because I enjoy more before than after. But you cannot like undo. It's something like you do a scar in your ego, and then how I heal it. So all the spiritual process is to heal the concepts that we have, the aims that we are giving, that we were not born with them, and to come back to this original state of pure consciousness. The Rishi describes you. What the seer describes is you. The Rishis are so faithful to their own nature that they can see their own authenticity. The Darshanas are reflections of one's true nature. If you have eyes, but you are blind, you cannot describe reality as it truly is. You will only project, and you will not even see yourself as you are. But if you can truly see, the only thing you will perceive is yourself, nothing else. In everything you behold, you will see only yourself. The Rishi describes you. Prabhuji calls the ultimate reality very often you. And we said, me? What that means? Me, my ego? No. Me, my what? You, your consciousness. Because everything you perceive it in consciousness. And Prabhuji has this book, What Is As It Is. If you look what is as it is without the mind, this is no mind, this is meditation. So what you will see is that everything happened in you, to you, and is made of you. This is how Prabhuji describes ultimate reality. Consciousness. But what is consciousness? Whatever perceives is consciousness, the subject in a way. Whatever is perceived is consciousness, the object in a way, and the place in which this perception happens. So everything is made of consciousness, hence everything is one. There is no multiplicity. How there is no multiplicity? I am here, I perceive the world, I have this correspondence theory and this Platonic adaptation, and how everything is true. But again, you need to deconstruct. If you take out the concept, you will see thoughts. You will not see, you will see perception. Perception happen here. And then he says, where a very far distant star happens. There is there, and it reaches you thousands of, millions light years until it reaches your retina. And when it reaches your retina, where it is here. And where you grasp this experience, here in your consciousness. So what you can say about that star? I wanted to be a scientist. When I met Prabhuji, I with all my appreciation for science, I said, but we are like analyzing our perceptions without knowing who is perceiving. And without knowing even if the tool of perception is valid. So let's leave the world and go back to analyze our process of seeing. And Prabhuji said, you only see yourself. This multiplicity is a play of consciousness with consciousness. It's a illusionary division. And this is how Prabhuji loves the way that Adi Shankaracharya describes reality. Is vidya, is a unreal reality. It's not real and not unreal. It's real in the sense that, consciousness divides itself to remit itself, but it's not really something different. And if you experience without any enlightenment, just you analyze the process of seeing, you will see it yourself. That everything that happened within your consciousness. That you have no proof to show that something happened beyond because any proof will be still within consciousness. So you are helplessly consciousness. And you can imagine or suffer from this world as much as you want, because consciousness is free to experience. That's all the play of shadows and lights. You're free to suffer. But if you boil down every situation, the worst of worst, it will come back to being perception, sensations, thoughts, and feelings. So, what Prabhuji, an enlightened being, a rishi, is not someone that is distasteful of the life. I can sit with Prabhuji. The opposite. It's eating life, celebrating life, enjoying every experience, looking for experiences, knowing that those are shadows, but consciousness wants to experience. So when you stay in your mental construct that we talk this talk, you're not even living life fully. And then you finish your life feeling, okay, I didn't live enough. Although I had enough time, I didn't live intensely. So this is what Prabhuji says here. The Rishi describes you and invites you to explore yourself, to explore the celebration of yourself, experiencing yourself. This is enlightenment. Waiting for the unknowable. When recognition of consciousness occurs, you will realize that it is unlike anything you ever expected. We are always awakening to the unexpected. You will be surprised that no master or sacred book has managed to describe it. They have only given guidelines and indications, like fingers pointing to the moon. But a finger is not the moon. You too will face insurmountable difficulties in trying to explain what is happening to you. The unknowable cannot be described or verbalized. You too will face these difficulties of describing the undescribable. Prabhuji is so certain that you will too. As that brother that says to his little boy, you will too fall in love. Don't worry. Be ready, be open, be kind. You will fall in love. Prabhuji said it's certain, like you will recognize consciousness. How not? You are consciousness. You are conscious all the time. Your experience is conscious. How not? At a certain moment you will say, I am consciousness. You will understand that you are not the body, that you are not the one who sees, that you are everything, the one that sees and the one that is seen, and the happening. Everything is you. That's why I said the Rishi is describing you. not something very far, not an imaginary supreme being that you need to believe in. Everything is in you. And you, when you will face it, when you will know it, when you will agree to see, because nothing is preventing from you, beside the fascination that you have for the word, that might be also the awareness itself, forgetting itself, part of the process, you will see that it's undescribable. So my question was, so if it is undescribable, if you cannot make someone else experience it, if you cannot give me a method, so why at all to write, Prabhuji? Why even to teach? I had a chance this week to ask Prabhuji, because what I notice is that he knows that it's undescribable, and yet he does so many efforts to describe it. So I asked him, why? Why you do so much, so kindly, in your books and lectures to describe the beyond, when you know that words cannot describe it? And he pondered for a few moments and said, you know, every why is an utilitarian attitude. If you have a why for loving, question yourself, it is true love. And we live unauthentic lives. He said it in the language of Heidegger. We live unauthentic lives. What is an unauthentic life? It's a life lived for reasons, for whys. We do everything we do because we need it, because we like it, because we have a because for everything we do. And if you take your life, and most of the things you do is for basic survival, you don't go beyond questioning what is the being of things, how things were created, who am I? When you start questioning life itself, not the whys of life, so you start your search. And he said, you ask me for a why I do what I do. And I don't have a why, but I think it's the nature of the self to express. It's just natural. It's a natural expression of the self. And then he compared this to art. When you ask your artist why you paint, if he has an answer because it gives me fame, because it gives me money, because I like it, because it makes me feel important, every why for his art, it makes this an technique. Techne, Prabhuji said in the language of the Greek. But whoever is a true artist, he said, I don't know, it's like it's overflowing from me, and I don't see a true reason for do it. If I cannot even oppose, it just wants to express, and I have to. So Prabhuji says that it's kind of more art. The reason, I don't know if my song will inspire someone. I don't look for the admiration. If somebody will dare to sing because he heard my song, that is also the effect of the self, or to be contagious. But I just sing, create, and express the beauty of the self. So although it's undescribable, we see beautiful expressions in the rishis, and we see a beautiful, beautiful expression in Prabhuji. That is so awesome to watch, and so inspiring to see the fruits, the flowers of his creation. And to me, it's like the decoration of my life. My life is full of flowers that spring from the self being expressed in Prabhuji. And for that I'm so grateful. So we will meet in the next class to continue in seeing how each rishi in each darshana expresses his own flowers and artistic expressions of the divine. Thank you very much. Jai Prabhuji.